Long ago, a man named Abram lived in the wealthy city of Ur of the Chaldeans in Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. His father was Terah, and his wife was Sarai. At that time, many people worshipped idols, but God chose Abram for a special purpose. Abram's family left Ur and traveled toward Canaan, but they stopped in Haran. After Terah died there, God spoke to Abram with a life-changing command. Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. God promised Abram, I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you. Even though Abram did not know where he was going, he obeyed by faith.
Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran, with Sarai, his nephew Lot, servants, and all their possessions. When Abram arrived in Canaan, God appeared again and said, "To your descendants I will give this land." Abram built altars to worship God at different places, including Bethel and Hebron. 3. Famine and Egypt. A severe famine struck the land, forcing Abram and Sarai to travel to Egypt. Abram feared the Egyptians might kill him because Sarai was beautiful, so he asked her to say she was his sister. Pharaoh took Sarai into his palace, but God sent plagues upon Pharaoh's house. Pharaoh realized the truth and rebuked Abram before sending them away safely. This event showed both Abram's human weakness and God's protection.
Abram and Lot became very wealthy with livestock and servants. Their herds grew so large that conflicts arose between their shepherds. Abram peacefully offered Lot the first choice of land. Lot chose the fertile Jordan Valley near Sodom, while Abram remained in Canaan. God then repeated his promise. Abram's descendants would be countless like the dust of the earth. The land would belong to them. Abram settled near Hebron and built another altar. God's covenant with Abram. Although God had promised descendants, Abram still had no child. God told Abram, "Look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. So shall your offspring be." Abram believed God, and this faith was counted as righteousness. God made a covenant with Abram through a sacred ceremony involving animal sacrifices. God promised Abram's descendants would inherit the land, though they would first suffer in a foreign land for many years. Hagar and Ishmael. Years passed, and Sarai remained childless. According to the custom of that time, Sarai gave her servant Hagar to Abram so they could have a child through her. Hagar became pregnant and gave birth to Ishmael. Conflict developed between Sarai and Hagar, causing Hagar to flee into the wilderness. But an angel of God found her and promised Ishmael would become a great nation. Hagar returned and gave birth to Ishmael when Abram was 86 years old. Abram becomes Abraham. When Abram was 99 years old, God appeared again. God changed Abram's name to Abraham, father of many nations. Sarai's name to Sarah, princess. God established circumcision as the sign of his covenant. God promised Sarah herself would bear a son despite her old age. Abraham laughed in amazement because he was nearly 100 years old. Sarah was around 90. Yet God declared, "Nothing is too hard for the Lord." One day, Abraham welcomed 3 mysterious visitors near the great trees of Mamre. He showed them generous hospitality, water for washing, bread, meat, milk, and curds. The visitors announced, "Sarah will have a son." Sarah overheard and laughed quietly because she was old. But the Lord repeated, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" Sodom and Gomorrah. God revealed that the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were filled with great wickedness. Abraham interceded boldly for the cities, asking if God would spare them for 50 righteous people, then 45, 40, 30, 20, and finally 10. But not even 10 righteous people were found. God destroyed the cities with fire and sulfur, but Lot and his daughters escaped through angelic warning. Lot's wife looked back and became a pillar of salt. Birth of Isaac. Finally, God fulfilled his promise. Sarah gave birth to Isaac when Abraham was 100 years old. Sarah said, "God has brought me laughter." Isaac's birth was miraculous because Sarah had long been unable to bear children. Hagar and Ishmael sent away. Tension arose between Sarah and Hagar after Isaac grew older. Sarah asked Abraham to send Hagar and Ishmael away. Though Abraham was distressed, God assured him Ishmael would also become a great nation. God protected Hagar and Ishmael in the wilderness and provided water for them. The greatest test, sacrifice of Isaac. This became the defining moment of Abraham's faith. God tested Abraham by saying, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and sacrifice him." Abraham obeyed without argument. He traveled to Mount Moriah with Isaac. Isaac asked, "Where is the lamb for the offering?" Abraham answered, "God himself will provide." As Abraham prepared to sacrifice Isaac, the angel of the Lord stopped him. A ram caught in a bush was offered instead. God then renewed his promises. Abraham's descendants would multiply greatly. Nations would be blessed through them. This story became a symbol of faith, obedience, trust, and sacrifice. Death of Sarah. Sarah died at age 127 in Hebron. Abraham mourned deeply and purchased the cave of Machpelah as a burial place. It became the family tomb. 15. Isaac marries Rebekah. Abraham wanted Isaac to marry from his own people rather than the Canaanites. He sent his servant back to Mesopotamia to find a wife. God guided the servant to Rebekah, who became Isaac's wife. Major lessons from Abraham's life. Faith. Abraham trusted God even without seeing the future. Obedience. He obeyed difficult commands. Patience. He waited many years for God's promises. Hospitality. He welcomed strangers generously. Intercession. He prayed for others, even wicked cities. Covenant. His relationship with God was based on promise and faithfulness. Famous verses about Abraham. Abraham believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness. I will make you a father of many nations. God himself will provide the lamb.